In this tutorial, we're going to be going through the piece Leyenda, also known as Asturias, Asturias. It's originally written for piano by Isaac Albéniz. He lived from 1860 to 1909. He is from Spain. He originally wrote it for the piano, so this is what's known as a transcription. It was written for one instrument, and we're moving it to a different instrument, in this case, the guitar. It works really nicely on the guitar. The original is in the key of G minor. This has been moved to the key of A minor to make it more comfortable on the guitar. You'll hear some very famous virtuosic versions of this in E minor for classical guitar. And I'm obviously demonstrating on the steel string today. I'm going to show you how to do it with fingerstyle plucking and with a pick. All right, a couple things to notice about the notation before we play through it. In the notation, you're in 6/4 time, so your unit of count is a quarter note, that's the 4 at the bottom, and you're going to have 6 of them per measure. Remember, they're written in 1/8 notes, so basically we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and then we're back to 1 and 2 and. It's a constant steady beat throughout, as you'll notice. There are no rhythmic changes throughout until the very end where you strum this last chord, which is basically just an A minor chord strummed all at once. Okay, another thing you should notice right away about the notation is that this top note throughout the entire piece is the first string open, E. So how about that? You've already learned half of the piece just by knowing that. All right, but what's moving in between every one of those notes is, of course, the bass notes. So your melody is really in the bass instead of being in the top. This idea of a repeated note that does not change and to have another note moving against it, in this case, the bass, while this one stays the same in the top, that's called a pedal tone or pedal note. So this E in the top is your pedal tone. And that can be in the bass in a composition, or it could be in the top. It stays consistent while other notes move against it. It's a very dramatic effect. It's been used for hundreds of years. Bach employed the technique a lot in his compositions, and it's used a lot in Spanish composition as well. All right, let's get started playing it, and I'll show you how it works with a pick and with fingerstyle. So remember, I'm just going to play through it. I don't want to tell you the notes that I'm playing because part of your job in this class is, memorizing the notes and learning them from the staff and where they translate to the neck of the guitar. So I'm going to start with fingerstyle actually, and then we'll do it on the pick. All right, here we go. So we've got this technique of bass note and then the first string open, then a different bass note and then first string open. I'm going to use my middle finger. You should be using your thumb for these different bass notes on 4th, 5th, and 6th strings. And even up to 3rd string, we're going to use it in the, let me find the measure. It is in the 4th line here. 4th line, you're going to use your thumb for that. Even though it's on the 3rd string, which is not considered a bass note, that's going to keep it consistent. So it's thumb, middle, thumb, middle, thumb, middle, thumb, middle, thumb, middle, thumb, middle. So thumb on that 3rd string open, even though it's not technically a bass note. Okay, here we go. So it's just repeating that again. Now it changes down to 6th string. Now I'm at the beginning of the 4th line. back to how we started the piece on the 5th string and that original idea. And then the last measure. And you can just strum that. It's basically an A minor chord. Okay, a few rattles and buzzes in there, but you get the idea. With practice, you'll get it just perfect. Better than I just played it, I'm sure. And so a couple things to notice about it before I play it with pick, and that is you've got this measure, then it repeats, and it repeats again. Then the 4th measure is different. Then, sorry, that would be here. 4th measure is different. Then you do the 3 measures again that we started with. Sorry, I'm looking at it backwards in the camera. And then this 4th measure is different. Then you start a new idea. 4th measure is different, new idea. Okay, so a lot of repetition, repeating 4 measure phrases essentially. Okay, 4 bars or 4 measures. Then it repeats, and then eventually it goes to a new group of 4 measures. Then that repeats. Then we get to the end. So knowing and hearing and seeing those repetitions on paper can help you memorize and learn a piece more quickly. All right, so now let's talk about pick. Now, this is tougher because there's a lot more movement. When I'm doing fingerstyle, I can hold my hand stationary and pluck back and forth. With the pick, it may not be something that you do as fast as fingerstyle, but it's a really good practice piece for getting used to down, up, and also, of course, skipping strings. That's really the challenge with the pick, is you're having to go 5th, then 1st, 4th, 5th, back to 1st, etc. So I like to use this with students as a way of building their pick technique. All right, so all the notes are going to be the same in the left hand. Now I'm just using the pick, and I'm going to alternate down, up, down, up. So every bass note will be down, and every treble note on that 1st string open, remember it's the 1st string open the whole time, that's always going to be up, okay? So let's do it with pick now. Here I go. Second line now. That's the end of that 4 measures. Then it starts again. I'm repeating the first 4 measures essentially. Now it changes. 6th string. Does that again. Now here I go up to that 3rd string. Repeats these 4 measures. Now this is a little different here. And then I'm back to how we started. Last measure. Right, let me do that again. That very last 2 measures. Now you can slow down at the end, which is just what we naturally do. It's called ritardando or rallentando. These are Italian terms for gradually getting heavier or gradually slowing down. So if I take the very last line of the piece and I'm going at my regular speed, that's nice because it sets up the listener for knowing that you've reached the end of the piece. Okay, so that is a rough idea of what to do both fingerstyle and pick style. Have fun with this. It's challenging, but it's great for your note reading skills and also for pick technique and fingerstyle technique.